before the project started, like I knew that was going to be something I was going to do. You know, I looked up to Static for doing what he does always. Like he's been a mentor. Like for the record, you know, when I moved out here 4 years ago, you know, Static took me under his wing, and then through that, and I came from like an hour outside of Boston in Maine and New Hampshire, and I looked up to them, and then like they became my mentors, like taught me everything, gave me the keys to the city pretty much, and just like, you know, it was a gradual thing. It was on my sights, but I didn't know, like, all right, what's the right timing? Like, you just mentioned timing. Like, timing is everything. Me and Dirty's first project was Divine Time. And, you know, I'm a big spiritual guy through getting sober and everything. And, you know, when I realized what time it was, we all went to a Q-tip party, like, up top of a big-ass building. Times Square, like it was something out of a movie. It was crazy. Everybody was there, and Fame MOP was there, and I ended up like chilling with Fame like half of the party because it was just a lot. I was like, yo, this is a lot. This is really dope, but like I don't know the people that Static knows. Static's going into places I can't get into. He's chilling with Q-Tip, this and that. So I'm like, I'm gonna go outside, and it was just a crazy night. And Fame was like, "Yo, Nev, what you working on? I'm trying to get on something." And I was like, "What? Did that just happen?" Like I'm like just mind blown. And you know, he's already a friend of mine at this point, but it's like we haven't gotten to that point. We had done a song together, but it was through someone else that got us on the track. It was like my beat, and then they got him for a feature. And I recorded him a couple times, but we haven't done anything like that. So in my head, I was like, oh man, oh God. And I was like, all right, I'm working on something with Ren Thomas and Dirty and this. And I mentioned collab projects, and he was like, no, what are you working on? So he was insinuating like, pretty much, do you have your own project yet? And right then I was just like, yeah, I just started an album. And that was me starting the album. So, you know, right then I was like, all right, I'm starting the album. I told Term, I told Stan what happened. Like, yo, I'm starting the album, this and that. And then it was like, that was about 2 years ago. And it was a very slow process. I have to say 2 years because that was when I said it. But it was like trying to start records and like people flaking, trying to, you know, do something, and then you're waiting. And this, you know how it is being a producer, you're waiting a lot, and you're, you know, it's not really necessarily on your time. It's on other people's time, and working with, you know, it ended up being 33 artists. So at one point I shelved it. At another point I was going to do just singles for a couple months. And then during quarantine is when it really picked up. And I was doing a lot of brainstorming and writing stuff down. And I just started reaching out to people. And it wasn't right away, but then at some point, I only wanted to do 10 songs. At some point, it was like, it just took off. And I was like, yo, I'm almost done. I got 9 joints left. And I hadn't done the Fame joint yet. The Fame joint was one of the last ones that I did. And then all of a sudden I'm like, yo, I got like 15 joints. What the hell? Like, what's going on? And it was just like, at that point, I just let it be so organic. And when I finally let go and let the project create itself is when the project really took off. That's the biggest thing I could say is like, throughout this whole thing, I know how to make beats. I know how to produce. I know how to engineer. I know how to do all that stuff. I can be like, nah, you got to take the word and out, and then they'll flow better the whole way through and stuff like that. But for this, people were like, oh, yo, you want a concept? You want this? Blah, blah, blah. Do you have a name for the album? I was like, nah, nothing. Just go with it. Let the beat speak to you. And that's how every song was done that way. And I think that's what really let it, like letting it happen was letting it happen. I guess you could say. So with making beats, I always use the MPC. When I first started trying to make beats, I had like, what's funny is I had the Roland 404. Everybody wants that right now. The SP 404, and that was like the first thing I had, and I was like, nope. And then I had the MPD, and then I finally got an MPC 1000, and that was a wrap after that. It was just like, all right, cool. I'm an MPC guy for the rest of my life. And I would say maybe like 6 years ago is when I started using the studio. And so then I would say the Renaissance, I probably had about the same, I got around the same time, maybe a little bit before. And it's the same thing as the studio, but it's just more to it. And so, yeah, it's like I've always kind of had the same way of making beats. I'll make the beat on the MPC, and then I'll mix it in Pro Tools. But through that, for sure, like, I got better at mixing vocals, and then we opened up the studio before I mixed the project. And that was another thing too, is it was multiple processes. It was like, send the beats out, wait for the verses, while I'm also creating a lot of it in the lab too. But of course, some of it was through email, some of it was in person. And there was like no mixing. Then when every single song was done, I started mixing. And I gave myself a month of not actually working on the mixes, but like marinating it, coming up with song titles, album title, mixing, listening to it, trying to get sick of, like all of that. That was like, I stopped making beats for 1 month, and I just was like, all right, now this is, to me, I felt like it was another creative process. So I was like, all right, let's put my creative switch on for this. It's not necessarily always creative, but let's do that. Let's come up with names. Let's talk to the artist. Let's brainstorm this and that, and then master it. I would say the hardest song to get done was the Lil Fame and Term joint, just because it was hard getting those two guys together. Like Term, I see them every day. I FaceTime with them all the time. I talk to Fame a lot, but like, I'm the little homie when it comes to the show off crew. So it's like, he's coming through, he's got to do a joint for Static, and then he's got to go over and do a joint for Term. And then, he's tired after that. He's got to go home. So then, the next time I try to, you know what I mean? So it was like, every time I seen him, he's like, yo, I got you now. Don't even worry about it. I was like, I know. So when the timing was right, the timing was right. And then like, I'm trying to think of like what the hardest one to actually, hello baby, to do. I don't know. It was like, I could say some of them were hard, like Take Mine with Mia J and Easy Money. Like I mixed that probably more times than the other ones because there wasn't a lot of singing, you know what I mean? And it's like a very abstract sample that's super out of tune. So it's like the sample could be in tune, and then like a second later it's out of tune. So like making sure the hook was right with that. I mixed that song like 6 times. Yes, baby. But yeah, it was like, it was just always evolving with the mixing too. Like because we opened up the studio, I'm mixing vocals every day. Since we opened up in August, I changed my Pro Tools template like 4 times. So that was a blessing because then I got even, a different sound of the mixes by that point in time. So I think, I've been saying this, you've been saying this, everything happens for a reason. It's always timing, and it's like the way it happens is exactly what's going to happen.